What is up everyone, and welcome to some more F1 23 My Team career mode. Last time out we were at the Dutch Grand Prix, and despite the fact that we actually had a pretty good start to the race and at one point found ourselves in the high highs of P2, we ended up falling all the way down to P13 and not scoring any points. Now, here's a shock. Valtteri Bottas, he's returned to Mercedes in the last couple of seasons. He's had some strong results. In fact, I think he even won the last race, didn't he? In Zandvoort, if I'm not mistaken. And now he is going to be retiring from the Grand Prix. Or not from the Grand Prix, from Formula 1, generally speaking. Yeah, this will be his last season in Formula 1. And then Mercedes will have to find somebody else to take that spot. Can't seem to get anyone to hold it down at the moment. First we had Hamilton retiring, and then we've got Bottas retiring, and that's only in 3 seasons that they've had to make 2 driver changes. So yeah, who knows who they will they'll get there. Won't you comment down below who you think will inherit that seat? It could be anyone, I think, quite frankly, but I'm very, very excited to see who does get into that seat. One thing I am not excited for is the Italian Grand Prix race weekend, because if you remember in the previous video, we actually had an upgrade fail, and that meant that we are down on engine power quite significantly compared to our closest rivals. We were hoping to close that gap ready in time for Zandvoort, and especially in time for Monza, but we haven't been able to do that. And since Monza is mostly just like straights, it seems like it's going to be an immense amount of difficulty for us to maintain pace with most of the cars around us. You know, we'll probably be mixing it with, I would say, the bottom 4 of Haas, AlphaTauri, Alfa Romeo, and Williams, more than we'll be mixing it with the other 6 teams that occupy the top of the standings. So yeah, I think the target here probably has to be like P13, right? You know, just simply finish ahead of Hauger and the other teams that are supposed to be behind us in the performance standings. But in practice, we actually didn't look completely awful. We were P10. So yeah, not too disappointed with that. We are definitely faster than the teams that are supposed to be slower than us, and perhaps we could even spring a surprise on the likes of Alpine, Aston Martin, those kinds of guys. Yeah, and I felt a lot more comfortable around this track as well. That was sort of a big thing in Zandvoort, is that I just felt so uncomfortable driving around the track. Just felt like I could not get any kind of grip on corner exit whatsoever. I was just fighting to keep the car in a straight line. But here, it actually felt a lot more comfortable, and I felt like I definitely had the potential to do something quite special. So yeah, we will see what we can do, whether we can do anything special as we now get into qualifying for the Italian Grand Prix. I think the target here, I mean, obviously we've got a sponsorship bonus that says we've got to get into the top 10. If we can get into the top 10, that would be absolutely fantastic. But more than anything, I think we're just going to be aiming for sort of the fringes of the top 10, you know. Getting through to Q2 at minimum has to be the target, really. And then beyond that, we'll see what we're capable of doing. We now go on to our first flying lap of Q1. This is, of course, on a set of soft compound tyres. Fresh soft compound tyres, because we haven't used any tyres yet here in qualifying, and the time is a 1:18.0. That's not even as good as the best time I did in practice, so definitely there's got to be some time to make up here. We're behind Hulkenberg at the moment, which is slightly concerning, but it was good enough for P15 in the end. As we came to the end of the session, we will be improving a little bit by a 10th or so on another set of fresh softs. So we've already used 2 sets of softs now. We crossed the line. It's a 1:17.8, which is about what we did in practice. And that is good enough to see us through to Q2, but only in P15. So we're definitely going to need to find a lot of improvement, and quickly, as we get into Q2. You can see that Sainz going fastest by 5 tenths there, 6 tenths almost actually. Yeah, doing a really strong job for the home team. Hauger P11, so he's comfortably through, a lot better than me actually, 4 tenths faster. And we say goodbye to Sargent, Lawson, Albon, Joe De Vries, and Enzo Fittipaldi. So yeah, Hauger in these last couple of races has been looking really strong. Those upgrades really working well for the team, meaning that he can at least give a good account of himself. I don't know whether I'm going to retain him for next season or not. I would like to change things up, maybe just a little bit, but you know, he's been banging in such good performances. I feel like I would be doing him a disservice to let him go. But we will see. Maybe if he gets some points before the end of the season, we'll talk. That was on a used set of fresh soft compound tyres, the ones we just did. A 1:18.3. So yeah, not quite as good as the times we were doing on the previous qualifying session, but obviously it wasn't a set of used tyres, so take it with a grain of salt. Fortunately, we managed to get our act together, and I will give you a little spoiler as to how this happened. Basically, I accidentally had overloaded on fuel on every qualifying run I'd done before this, and I finally remembered to take the fuel out on this occasion. So I was basically faster in a straight line, faster through all the corners. We improved by 1.4 seconds into the 116s, and is it good enough to make it through to Q3? No, it's P11, unfortunately, but we were a damn sight closer than we would have been otherwise, I can tell you that for free. I think we would have been in the mid-117s otherwise. So yeah, very, very disappointed. We missed out on Q3 appearance by less than 200ths of a second. It's Kevin Magnussen with a 1:16.95 ahead of us, and yeah, we're out in P11. Hauger in P12, a solid performance from him, 0.02 of a second faster than Stroll, and then the other eliminations here are Ocon, Hulkenberg, and Tsunoda. Piastri looking awfully good this weekend. You know, he's been in the sort of mixing it in the top 2 in Q1 and Q2, so let's see what he can do in Q3. Obviously, we won't be taking any further part in it, but you'll be able to see the quali rundown before we get into the race itself. Yeah, P11, not terrible. I would have liked to be in the top 10. I do feel like it definitely was possible if we'd have just gone a couple hundredths of a second faster, but you know, there's not much you can do when these things happen. There's no way of knowing. I didn't even know what time I needed to get through. I was just pushing as hard as I possibly could. That's the kind of time we ended up doing, and yeah, now we are going to be trying to hopefully break into the points. That's got to be the target here. I do feel like we're going to be significantly slower than the majority of the cars around us, so I think it's going to be really, really difficult for us to make our way into the points. But maybe if we have a strong start and we can capitalize on perhaps some of the action going on around us, there may be a slight chance for us to bag a point or two here, and yeah, start to really work our way towards bagging that 100 points tally we need for the sponsorship bonus. But enough chat about sponsorship bonuses. It's now time for us to get into the Italian Grand Prix.
Monza, the oldest circuit on the calendar, which hosted its first race all the way back in 1922. Today we look forward to the Italian Grand Prix. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. Sergio Perez will lead us away from pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Oscar Piastri, Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Gasly, Russell, Bottas, Magnussen, Robinson, Hauger, Stroll, Ocon, Hulkenberg, Tsunoda, Sargent, Liam Lawson, Albon, Joe, De Vries, and Enzo Fittipaldi. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today.
Okay, here we go. I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
The tyre wear upgrades make it a simple strategy. Soft, medium, 12 laps on the softs, 15 on the mediums. Hopefully we can have a strong race. A lot of the cars in front of us starting on the mediums. At least Russell, Bottas and Magnussen I can see are all starting on the mediums. I can't speak for the cars ahead of them because, simply put, I cannot see the tyres that they're going to be on. But yeah, this means that potentially we could make up a few positions off the start, hopefully, at least ahead of Magnussen, if nobody else. As long as we can stay ahead of Hauger, that's all I really care about. You know, he almost outperformed us in the previous race. It was very, very close in the end. Only like 100th of a second separated us. Really goes to show how much I was struggling, I guess. But yeah, this time around, I'm hoping things will be a bit more straightforward. I feel a bit more comfortable around here. Obviously, my corner exits are still quite slow compared to the AI. But generally speaking, I think we're in for a little bit of a better race this time around. But we will see whether that rings true or not as the lights come on. And the lights go out as we switch to the replay camera, and if you look in the background there, you can see me in the green and black going for a move now on an Alpine. I believe that is the Alpine of Esteban Ocon, I could be wrong, and we're going to try and go around the outside of him, but he pulls to the inside, and we have to tuck in behind him, battling with Lando Norris here in the McLaren, and I think we've just about managed to make this work. We have indeed. That's us up into P8. We got ahead of one of the Mercedes and also Magnussen and Norris, so that's 3 positions gained off of the start there. In fact, it looks like the Mercedes fell all the way down to like P13 behind Hauger. Yeah, I don't know which one that was. I think that might have been Bottas. I could be wrong, but yeah, it looks like it wasn't great for him. Actually, I think it was Russell. It wasn't Bottas. So yeah, Russell having a disastrous start there. He's fallen all the way down to, I think, P14 or something like that. And we're just trying to defend for our lives at the moment as we see the cars in front get further and further away, still lacking in pace so much. Magnussen looking for a move on us here, I believe, but is he going to be able to make it happen? Not quite yet. He's coming under immense pressure now from Lando Norris. I don't know who's going to win out of the 2 of them, but we're just going to have to push as hard as we can. I think we're burning quite a lot of battery at this moment as well to make sure that we can stay ahead of the likes of Magnussen and Norris, as I think Norris actually gets up into P9 there. He's trying to go around the outside of Kevin Magnussen. Doesn't quite make it happen on this occasion though, so they're still battling over that P9 position. Meanwhile, Hauger holding up an Alfa Romeo, one of the Alpines, and also George Russell, and that is allowing me quite nicely to sort of break away from them a little bit as I defend from these 2 guys behind me. Meanwhile, we have an Alpine directly in front of us. I believe that's actually Gasly. I said it was Ocon earlier, but I think it is in fact Gasly. And now as we move on to lap 3, you can see that Carlos Sainz has fallen quite significantly down the order, all the way down to P7. And I think he's got some kind of issue by the looks of things, because I think we're going to go for a move on him now up the inside at the chicane, and we dive deep into the chicane, squeeze him out at the inside, and that is how you make a move up into P7. So, nicely done from us, poached the position off of Carlos Sainz, and we're currently on for 6 points in this race, but we've got a long way to go yet. And if we have even close to what it will be a repeat of Zandvoort, then we definitely are not going to be finishing in the top 10. We're going to need to do a lot better than this. As we look at the gap in front, you can see Leclerc has actually come into the pits there, so that pushes us up into P6. But Gasly and Bottas already 2 seconds in front of us. We're not going to have any DRS, and Lando Norris is fast approaching, only 5/10 behind us. He was stuck behind Sainz for a little bit, but he's cleared him and already caught up with me and more. So yeah, we're going to need to get a move on as Gasly and Bottas hold each other up a little bit there. You can see they're just over a second in front of me, but Lando Norris makes the overtake into the Parabolica, and we're not going to fight this one back, because I'm going to try and use the DRS to not only get back past him, but also maybe try and close down Gasly and Bottas in front. You know, there's a real opportunity for me to maybe get a P4 here if we can stay ahead of Norris and also get ahead of Gasly and Bottas, who are battling away in front. I think Gasly currently leading out of the 2 of them, Bottas having to take a little bit of a back seat, and Norris fighting me back into the first chicane. That is going to hold me up a treat, which means that we're still going to be more than a second down on Bottas and Gasly, and as we fast forward a few laps, you can see that those dreams of being ahead of those 2 were nothing more than just dreams. They have pulled away quite significantly, 5 seconds now the gap, as Norris once again making a move on me into the Parabolica. But who's going to have the DRS? Is it going to be me? Is it going to be him? I think he was marginally ahead on that occasion, and actually neither of us have the DRS. So it's going to be George Russell who's potentially going to try and go for a move on both of us as we use the slipstream to draft our way ahead of Lando Norris. We go deep into the corner because we knew he was going to fight with us, and somehow we didn't get overtaken by George Russell there. I think we literally, the 2 of us, physically blocked him from making a move. I think we used the space perfectly to allow him to do that. You can hear me lifting off the throttle a little bit here to allow George Russell to go through. Of course, this is tactical because we are gunning for the DRS. You may think it's a little bit cheeky, but it's an absolute necessity to be able to hold position. There's no way I would be able to defend from these guys in the DRS zone. I need the slipstream, I need the DRS, I need to burn a lot of battery, and yeah, somehow we don't get overtaken by Lando Norris there, despite the fact that he was threatening it. We squeezed George Russell to the inside as Carlos Sainz has retired from the Grand Prix. Not sure what happened with him there. We'll have a look now as he goes through the Parabolica at the end of lap 9. You can see there's no smoke or anything by the looks of things. I think it must be maybe gearbox related. Oh no, there is smoke. There we go. So it was an engine failure. That Ferrari power unit giving up at the Tifosi's home race. They will not be happy about that one, especially considering Charles Leclerc is a long way down as well. You know, it's not looking good for the chances of them scoring points here today. Once again, lifting off the throttle a little bit to allow Lando Norris through. Once again, very tactical maneuver to allow myself to hopefully stay ahead of them with the DRS.
Okay,
and yeah, we're looking like we should be potentially in for I would hope at least sort of a P6 finish or something like that. But you know, it's not guaranteed. They definitely do have more pace than me right now. I'm just playing a very, very tactical game to allow them to stay behind. As we make our way into the pits on lap 12, you can see on the minimap it's turned red. Which is usually what happens when a red flag gets deployed. I think this is some kind of glitch that happened or something like that. It does stay for the entire remainder of the Grand Prix, so just to avoid people commenting about it, I thought I'd make reference to it. But anyway, yes, we are into the pits, and we are onto a set of medium compound tyres to the end of the Grand Prix. Maybe we'll be able to make a little bit of an undercut on some of the cars on the medium tyres. Those who started on the medium tyres, of course, we'll see whether that rings true or not. But yeah, we were quite far down on Gasly and Bottas, so the only people we're likely to sort of extend a gap on, I guess, are going to be Norris and Russell, and not if we do that kind of thing. Unfortunately, we just broke way too deep into the first chicane, and that allowed Lance Stroll to catch up by about 2 seconds to us, unfortunately. So yeah, it was not the finest move I've ever gone for, and I was very stubborn about it as well. I was hoping that I'd be able to keep him behind and outpace him, but that just wasn't the case, unfortunately. So he overtakes me as we make our way onto lap 14, and well, that could be a bit of a blunder from me, because I could have potentially just lost the position to Lance Stroll here. As we make our way towards the end of lap 16, you can see I have managed to stay in DRS range of him, so we do have at least that to be happy about. But still, we've got quite a lot to crack on with if we want to try and get back ahead of him. We're going to need to try and go for the move ASAP with the DRS here. Are we going to burn any battery for this one? It doesn't seem like I am for some reason. I don't know why. It's literally called overtake. This is what overtake should be used for, but maybe I'm reserving it for a bit of defense as well. Who knows? We go around the outside of him through the first chicane. That switches to the inside for the next part of the corner, and we are back up into P6 now. But Lance Stroll is going to make a move on us into the Parabolica on lap 18 once again, and we're not going to fight it too hard. Actually, we are going to try and maybe string one around the outside of him through the Parabolica here. I guess that's probably the ideal scenario, because I think we are going to have the DRS here, and indeed we are. You can see that, yeah, we just managed to sort of game the DRS a little bit by being slightly behind him but alongside him. We do have to look out for Lando Norris here, however, who is very, very close. He doesn't go for the move on this occasion, but it definitely wasn't out of the question that he might have done. So, yeah, an interesting move coming out from Lando Norris there. And, well, we're going to have to defend from him even harder here as he goes for another move into the Parabolica. Once again, I think he was marginally ahead through the DRS detection point. We bang wheels as we go through the Parabolica a couple times. We don't get any damage, fortunately, but we do have to try and deploy a bit of battery and use the DRS to its full effect to stay ahead of Lando Norris once again. We are defending this P6 with everything we are worth, and there are only a few laps left now that we're going to have to do this for, and then we can rest easy. But will it be P6 or will we fall down the order? Who have we got in the chasing pack at the moment? I think it's just Russell, Stroll and Norris. And actually, no, Norris has fallen behind now a little bit. It's Russell, Stroll and Magnussen who are in this chasing pack, sorry. Norris has fallen down to behind Charles Leclerc. So, yeah, we're looking like the lowest we could possibly finish here is going to be probably P9, I reckon, unless Norris and Leclerc do catch up, and then it will be P11. So we do have to still fight quite hard to make sure we absolutely do hold on to this position. We held off Russell on this occasion, but we're going to have a little bit longer to wait before we get ourselves confirmed in this P6 position. Now it's Kevin Magnussen who's going to go for the move on us. We once again lift off a little bit to allow him to have the lead into the Parabolica through the DRS detection point, and once again we have gamed this so much. A little bit of DRS chicken going on here at Monza, but it's about the only way I'm going to be able to hold these guys off with my inferior engine power compared to everybody else. There's no other way that this would have been possible apart from that. So we have once again gamed it perfectly to allow us to hold on to P6, and with only a few laps left to go, it really does look like we're going to be able to hold on to this. Meanwhile, this is Liam Lawson. He is also retiring from the Grand Prix. Very unfortunate for him. I don't think he was doing a particularly an amazing race. He definitely wasn't looking like he was going to score points or anything like that, but still, you know, the last thing you want when you've just raced 24 laps and there's only 3 to go is to suddenly find yourself staring down the barrel of a DNF, some kind of engine failure for the Williams once again. And now we make our way through the Parabolica onto the final lap of the Grand Prix this will be, and well, it's looking like it's going to be P6 here, because Russell and Magnussen are over 2 seconds down on us on this occasion. So yeah, a really strong result for us on this occasion. I think they all just kind of battled with each other, and that held each other up to the point that I could start to break away from them. You can see now the gap is 3 seconds. I think Leclerc maybe must have gone for a move on Russell there or something like that, because yeah, there's basically no chance we're going to finish anywhere other than P6, so long as we don't make some kind of brutal mistake towards the end. Sergio Perez ends up claiming the victory here, and then it was Oscar Piastri in P2 and Verstappen taking P3. You can see who the next couple of positions are going to go to on the sort of driver time tracker leaderboard thing. And yeah, after Bottas and Gasly cross the line, we are going to round the final corner, and nothing is going to stop us. Leclerc did catch us up a little bit, but we crossed the line, and we're going to take P6, and that is 8 hard-earned points here in Monza. A really strong result for us, and I am very happy with that. That is going to do wonders for our chances of getting to that 100-point tally by the end of the season. Only 8 races to go. We're still going to need a magnanimous effort.
Here we are then. It's a thoroughly deserved win here in Italy after another excellent Grand Prix. Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Commiserations for Oscar Piastri there. I definitely think that he had the opportunity to win that Grand Prix on multiple occasions, but the Red Bull just seemed a little bit faster. Verstappen will be a little bit disappointed he's only come away with P3 there, because while it will allow him to take over the lead of the Drivers' Championship, he definitely will not have the margin over George Russell he would have wanted, as I believe Russell ended up finishing P7 or P8. So yeah, Championship still very much alive and well, and perhaps Sergio Perez getting himself involved at the death as well. We'll see what happens.
Max Verstappen's excellent result today sees him take over as leader of the Drivers' Championship. Let's see what effect this result has had on the drivers' standings. So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your driver of the day?
Well, you can't fault anything that Sergio Perez did out on the track today. He drove flawlessly, making him an easy pick.
It's time to see how things are shaping up in the Constructors' Championship. Red Bull take over as championship leaders. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend for them as they fight their way towards the top. Well, what an end to another fantastic weekend of racing. Thanks to everyone who's joined us, and we'll see you for the next one.
So Red Bull have taken over the lead of the Constructors' Championship now, and not only that, but also Max Verstappen obviously leading the Drivers' Championship. As I said, just 8 points separate the top 3 drivers in the Drivers' Championship at the moment. It is Verstappen from Russell, from Perez, and well, Bottas isn't actually that far off either. I believe he's about 24 points off, and then the 2 McLarens perhaps still with an outside chance of grabbing the Drivers' Championship as well. It's definitely going to take a big effort from them to have any chance. They're going to need to start bagging some wins very quickly if they want any chance of getting involved in that championship fight with only 8 races to go. But yeah, a really solid result, and kind of an unexpected one as well, you would have to say. You know, I was predicting that probably we would just have a miserable Monza like we always do, but actually it went pretty well. I'm pretty happy with the result that we pulled out here. P6, 8 points in the Drivers' Championship. I believe that put us ahead of one of the Alpines, who was ahead of us. I can't remember which one it was. I think it might have been Gasly. So we've overtaken him in the Drivers' Championship now, and that's very nice for us, because it means that we have a real opportunity to maybe start to close them down in the Constructors' Championship. We're going to need a big series of races at the end of the season here. We do have hopefully at least one, possibly two engine upgrades coming on in time for the Singapore Grand Prix. So yeah, we're going to be basically capping out our performance if everything goes according to plan. One of those was a sort of high risk development option, so there's a 55% failure chance on one of them. The other one is guaranteed because it was the one that failed before. So yeah, we're definitely going to have a maxed out car within the next few races or so, but potentially we could have it in the following race, so that's something to look forward to. You might remember last season I was very much in the box seat to win the Singapore Grand Prix until my car broke down. It didn't even look like anyone was really going to challenge me on that occasion, so maybe, just maybe, there is an outside chance that we might be able to do the same thing for the Singapore Grand Prix this time around, especially if we're going to have basically the fastest possible car we can have. I think there is a really good opportunity for us to win the Singapore Grand Prix, and it would certainly mark out my my credentials, you know, to actually to try and challenge for that those higher positions in the Constructors and the Drivers' Championship. Obviously, I'm not fighting for the drivers myself like I foolishly proclaimed I might be at the beginning of the season. Things didn't really pan out that way. I believe we've had one podium this season, but I could be wrong about that. It's been quite a long season, and to be honest, I don't quite remember everything that's happened. But it would be nice to grab that first win of the season that we've yet to achieve on this occasion. Carlos Sainz, obviously, with that DNF, he gains no ground in the rivalry, which is actually great for me because we were starting to fall away from him already. And maybe when we get to Singapore, if we do have that fast car that I predict that we might have, we really might have a good opportunity to get that rivalry win and maybe start moving up even further than we already are. But we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. We meet a couple of the sponsorship targets, which is great, getting a lot of money, which will be helpful for the following seasons, especially when it comes to challenging for the Constructors hopefully next season. And yeah, like I said, next up is the Singapore Grand Prix. But that is going to be it for this video. So if you enjoyed, please make sure you like and subscribe, and hopefully I will see you in the next one.